What's up, everyone? This is Jenny Jen, your host with the most.
And I'm your co-host, Jessie.
You're listening to Milkshakes and Ghosts. This is a podcast where we discuss ghostly encounters and hauntings while drinking milkshakes. We are the mother and daughter duo of spooky stories.
You know, I saw when you were making your milkshake in the kitchen this morning, and I noticed you poured a whole lot of coffee in it.
Of course I poured coffee. I live off of coffee. I am drinking a blended coffee milkshake with non-dairy silk almond milk because I love that. What about you, Jessie? What type of milkshake do you have today?
I blended my Ben & Jerry's non-dairy chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream with chocolate ripple non-dairy milk. It tastes delicious.
Wow, that sounds really good. We both have non-dairy items today, which is easier on both our stomachs.
My favorite thing about this podcast is all the milkshakes we get to drink.
Facts. Coffee and milkshakes? What? It's the best of both worlds. Now, let's get into some creepy stories. Jessie, do you want to go first today, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first today.
My story is about a haunted doll whose hair grows.
Are you serious? My story is about haunted dolls too.
Wait. I hope we did not pick the same story, Jessie.
I'm covering the island of dolls.
Okay, well, my story is Okiku, the doll whose hair grows.
I can't believe we both picked stories about dolls.
That's crazy that we chose the same topic without even telling each other. This is how you know we're mother and daughter.
And best friends.
That's right. Aw, you are my best friend, baby. BFF for life.
That's right.
Pop culture has done a great job turning the age-old children's toy into a potential vessel of evil.
Thank you, Chucky and Annabelle, for that one.
Absolutely. Those are one of the many haunted dolls out there that have traumatized children and adults. And while we rationally recognize that dolls aren't going to come to life, we feel unease by the stare of their cold, lifeless eyes. Will they turn their little heads to stare into your soul the moment you look away? Will they appear at random in a part of your home they aren't supposed to be in?
This is why I don't like dolls, but I have a lot of Barbies at my house. You're kind of getting me a little bit scared when I go to sleep at night.
Well, this story is only going to make you dislike them even more. According to the story of Okiku, the doll was purchased by a 17-year-old boy named Ikichi Suzuki during a visit to Sapporo for a marine exhibition in 1918. The doll was a gift from his travels for his 2-year-old sister named Okiku. When she was initially purchased, the doll had a hairstyle similar to a bob cut, which is popular in Japanese dolls. Okiku loved her new doll, and it served as a little girl's companion until she died suddenly from a cold-like illness at the age of 3. Devastated by their loss, Okiku's family put her favorite doll on the household altar where they prayed in memory of Okiku. Before long, the family noticed that the hair on Okiku's doll had begun to grow, as if the hair was on the head of a human. The family concluded that the restless spirit of Okiku, who died so young, was now inside her beloved doll. The doll remained with Okiku's family until 1938, when they moved to Iwamizawa in Hokkaido and gave the doll to the Menenji Temple, where she remains enshrined to this day. She is now referred to as Okiku after her former owner. Some believe the hair that continues to grow from her head is the hair of the child, Okiku.
I would throw away the whole doll.
Okiku's hair didn't stop growing when she found a new home in Menenji Temple. Allegedly, her cropped hair grew nearly 10 inches, all the way down to her knees, during the beginning of her stay at the temple, and continues to require trimming to stop it from growing out of control. The priest that cuts her hair was said to receive a message from Okiku in his dreams asking him to keep her hair trimmed.
How come they don't study it and take the doll apart to see how the hair is growing?
That's a good question, Jessie. I was about to call you Jenny. Oh, jeez. We need some more milkshakes. I seen online a Japanese paranormal book that discussed this. Apparently, the temple refuses to allow the doll to be taken apart and analyzed. However, I couldn't locate an additional source to verify this. Others claim the temple allowed some of the trimmed hair to be tested, which determined that it was human hair. And if Okiku's story isn't creepy enough, some visitors believe her mouth is slowly opening to reveal a set of human teeth. Whether or not any of this is true, Okiku continues to intrigue and frighten visitors.
I can't imagine experiencing something like that. Again, I would throw away the whole entire doll.
I'm in agreement with you. The only toys I collect are anime. No creepy haunted dolls in this house.
Do you have a story of your own about a creepy doll encounter?
I know why you're asking that. You heard me and your dad talking about it the other day.
Yes, I.
Well, the answer, as you know, Jess, is yes, I do. So when I was about 4 years old, I was living with my parents in Henderson, Nevada, and I had a really nice room in the apartment we had. It was decorated with stuffed animals from ceiling to floor. They were everywhere. And I remember that we had this Muppets cardboard display box, and it would open at the top. And I had a Jack-in-a-Box. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I do.
It's the little wind-up toy for those of you who don't know. I don't even know if they sell them anymore. It winds up, you wind it up, and out pops this clown. I don't know who invented that creepy toy, but it's creepy. So one night, I was sent to bed after watching TV with my mom, and as I was trying to fall asleep and not really wanting to, I had my favorite blanket that my grandmother made me. I was curled up with it. And all of a sudden, I started to hear my Jack-in-a-Box wind up all on its own. It was on the floor at the foot of my bed, and I could hear it winding and winding and winding. And I sat up in bed holding my little blankie, and then all of a sudden, I had other toys like cars and just stuff that rolled around. They were all moving on its own. The Muppet box that I had told you at the beginning of the story, I mentioned it because that box, it was made out of cardboard. It's not something that could have popped open on its own. So this thing opened on its own. I ran so fast out the room to go get my parents. However, 4-year-old me realized I left my blankie. So I stopped in the doorway. I turned around. My room was literally like the Poltergeist movie. Things were just moving and being scary and crazy. And I ran in to go get that little blanket that my grandma made me. And then I ran back out to go get my parents.
That's interesting. I just have to remember that part where you just ran in to get your blanket. I would have left the blanket and kept running.
You have no idea how much I adored that blanket. My grandma made it for me. It was my blankie, and I was not leaving my blankie. My blankie and me were ride or die. That was my best friend when I was growing up.
Well, my dog sleeps in my room, so I probably would have left him there and just ran to get you guys.
How could you leave your dog? That's your fur baby.
Well, I would have came back for him when you guys came back. I mean, yeah.
No, man, you can't leave that dog in danger. You gotta get the dog. Like, things go crazy. You get your fur babies and you run with your fur babies. Do not leave the fur baby behind.
Well, my fur baby can handle himself. We'll chase the ghosts away.
No, I doubt that. If the ghost had food or something, your dog is definitely going to that ghost and probably befriending it for food.
No, that would be the other dog.
Are you talking about your brother's dog, Bella?
Yes.
All right, so I don't know if anybody out there has seen our dogs on social. We have 3 dogs. One is an American Pit Bull Terrier mixed with a Shar Pei. That's Bella. And then we have our Yorkie. And then we have my dog, Fancy, which is a miniature King Charles Cavalier. Our dogs are all different shapes and sizes. But Bella is our rescue. We love her. but she's very overweight. We try to walk her, and if you try to walk her, she literally will throw herself because she doesn't want to walk more than 5 steps. She wants to go home. So I have seen my son on multiple occasions trying to walk her, literally only having to pick her up after taking like 5 or 10 steps and having to carry her, this big pit bull in his arms, back to our house because she will not walk. She just wants to eat and sleep all day. But we give her the best life along with the 2 other fur babies. They are our life. And Jesse, I would not leave my dogs. I wouldn't leave you behind if we had some paranormal stuff happening, but let alone the dogs. The dogs come with us. Bella might be overweight, but when push comes to shove, if somebody were to break into our house, she would be the only dog to kill, to protect us. That dog is not playing when it comes to our safety. Well, that and your dog, Jess, Cooper, because Cooper's pretty protective with all of us, especially you. The only thing is Cooper's small and Bella's like, what is she, like 85 pounds? she's a really big dog, so.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you sure that Cooper wouldn't protect us?
Cooper's got a mean streak to him when somebody is trying to like go near you. He's really, really protective with you. But Bella would be the one to actually hurt somebody because she's huge. Like, that's a big pit.
Yeah, like every time my brother leaves the room, my dog hears it and then he starts barking for no reason. I'm like, Cooper, it's just my brother.
Yeah, or anytime me or dad go to check on you, Cooper starts barking thinking it's somebody else until he realizes it's us and then he goes back to his bed. It's so funny because he looks so proud. He's like, yeah, I was going to get them. The look on his face, he's like, yeah, I did that.
That's so funny.
Well, okay, we got to stop bantering because we will talk about our fur babies forever. Moral of that story is just, if anything creepy ever happens, do not leave the dog. Run back in for Cooper.
Anyway, great creepy story. Now, are you ready for mine?
Of course I am.
The Island of the Dolls, also known as La Isla de las Muñecas, is an abandoned island in Mexico City's Xochimilco canals that's covered in thousands of decaying dolls. The story of the Island of the Dolls is entwined with the story of Don Julian Santana Barrier. Don Julian left his wife and family sometime in the mid-20th century and journeyed to the island on Tishulo Lake. His reasons for leaving his family were unclear. However, it is said that Don Julian was not of sound mind. Not long after relocating, he made a chilling discovery on the shores of his island. He found the body of a young girl who had drowned in the lake. A doll came floating down the canal shortly afterward, changing the course of Don Julian's life and the shape of the island for years to come. Alone on the island, Don Julian took the doll and hung it from a tree in order to appease the spirit of the deceased girl, but at least in the eyes of the man who now considered himself the island's caretaker, the one doll was not enough. For the next 50 years, Don Julian would collect dolls from the trash and from the canals and hang them on trees. Some he'd hang whole, others were scattered in parts. Trees were decorated with headless torso-less and broken parts of dismembered dolls.
This man sounds like he's really delusional and suffering from a mental disorder. I don't feel as bad for him as I should. I feel more bad for his wife and child. In the beginning of your story, you were saying he left his wife and child to go on this island. To me, that's more horrific than the man having a mental disorder. It's sad that he does, but it's even sadder that he left his wife without a husband and his child without a father just to go to this abandoned island and fill it with dolls. I mean, the whole story is more tragic than spooky to me.
Yes, I do agree with you. You know how he's suffering from a mental disorder? Well, because of this time period, no diagnosis was ever given to Don Julian. There are no doubts surrounding this legend. For instance, the reality of the little girl who died, Many people, including Don Julian's own family, didn't believe that he ever found the girl. It's unclear why they didn't believe him. What is clear is that whether the girl existed or not, Don Julian devoted the rest of his life to her.
That's tragic that he left his family.
In 2001, Don Julian passed away. Guess where his body was discovered?
Was it in the canal?
Yep, his body was discovered drowned in the canal, in the exact same place he'd seen the little girl.
That right there is really creepy.
You know, I have a little bit of a theory. I don't know if it's right, but I just think it's in my opinion. If he saw that girl, like she drowned, maybe he saw his own future, but it was just a girl version.
I like that theory, Jesse. That is a good theory. That maybe it was his future. Who knows? Who knows what really happened? The only person that knows, unfortunately, is not here anymore on this earth since he died. He was the only one on that island, so no one really knows truly what happened to him.
In response, tourists began flocking to the island to pay tribute. They brought dolls of their own, and to this day, people honor both Don Julian and the little girl by hanging up dolls in tribute.
I seen an episode on Ghost Adventures where they visit the island and one of the dolls goes off as they're recording.
Okay, so I have another theory. Maybe, you know how, sound frequencies go off? Maybe that, it made it go off.
That's a good theory. I honestly think that the doll that went off, oh no, never mind. I was about to say probably just was going off because, batteries dying or whatnot. But I remember in the episode he looked and there was no batteries.
Hey, well, maybe the wires actually, because the wires don't dolls have wires in them to for the batteries?
You had a good point there. Something had to have malfunctioned. I'm in agreement with you. I don't believe the doll went off because of a haunting or whatever. Again, I'm an open-minded skeptic, but really more on the skeptic side. There's always a logical explanation, I feel. So the doll probably malfunctioned, like you're saying, or they stopped the camera from recording and did some kind of audio voiceover or whatever to insert at that moment while the guy was passing by with the camera, because it's TV. Nothing is real.
Yeah, good theory.
I would not pay to go on that island. You can only go by boat, and I believe the fee is $100. What about you, Jesse? Would you want to go to the Island of the Dolls?
Actually, I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but yes, I would. Just to debunk stuff, find traces to see if that little girl was alive or something.
Online articles that I read state that there is no proof that that little girl ever existed. But who's to say? The island isn't too big, but there's lots of ground on it, so I'm sure there's lots of room to bury someone on there. However, no one has found up to this day any little girl that ever died on there. It was really just the guy, Don Julian, that passed away on that island.
Yeah, he was just delusional and crazy.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, mental illness is a real thing. If you or someone else you know out there has a mental illness, please seek help, because mental illness needs to be talked about more and it needs to be acted on more so that things don't happen how it happened to Don Julian and his family. I don't want to see anyone else out there go through something similar to that.
Yes, there is help out there. If you or anyone is suffering from depression, anxiety, go seek help.
Exactly. There is so much help out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on. And don't forget to rate us and leave a review. If there's a story you want to hear about, or if you or anyone you know have experienced any kind of activities related to ghosts, spirits, hauntings, and haunted houses, please submit it to our podcast and email milkshakesghosts@gmail.com.
We are trying to grow our socials, so make sure to give us a follow on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. We will follow back.
I will link our socials in the show notes. If you don't already know what the show notes are, It's the description of our podcast wherever you're listening.
Keep drinking milkshakes
And keep being spooky!